But we talk about the future and the youth. There are younger people in the party. And that's the side of the party that you see Edwin Sifuna, Winnie Odinga, and Babu Wino are coming from. And I think it's also quite clear. I think one of the commentators was speaking, and I think I totally agree with him, that Ruto, in his view, does not believe that Oburu Oginga would have influence and be able to make a difference and give him a vote.
Yeah.
What he's trying to do is to tie them down in such a way that, they're already too willing to have a conversation. So they're not negotiating, they're waiting to be told what to do. But there's a bunch of young people who he must contain. So he needs to handle this older generation that is hungry and ready to do anything to get power, so that he can be able to look for a way to now get the young people and have a stake. And at the same time, almost defining who should oppose him. Because in politics, the much you control in terms of your stakes and what is outside you, then the more power you have. And so it's not unusual what's going on in ODM. I think Ruto made it quite clear. I think he could tell. There are other things. Listening to Agri Orengo, the governor for Siaya, speaking and alluding to doubts about how Baba could have left us, and insinuating that probably there was much more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Could be true or not. It's something that has to be verified, but also speaks to concerns around the timing of the takeover and the intention of the takeover. So if somebody is strategizing to take a party over, and even during the time when he was alive, somebody alluding to the fact that he can call up PG at a meeting and punish someone, it speaks to a lot. As a founder member, there is, unfortunately, the dead tell no tales. So we can only assume that they discussed, but at the same time, there is much more probably that we might never get to know unless we have people around Baba and those who know the innings of how the arrangement has been made would be comfortable. But ODM, clearly, somebody is messing up with it, and it's obvious that he would prefer ODM divided going into elections than having a united ODM. And this I say because when you look at the strongholds for ODM in Western, Nyanza, Northeastern, and the coast. So if you can divide the membership and maybe gain the coast and gain the Northeastern, you're making up for what you don't have from Central, and you have a stable Rift Valley, then you are assured of your numbers. So what's going on in ODM is in the interest of Ruto, and I don't doubt that he has a massive hand in the happenings, but also ODM, and by virtue of the fact that political parties don't have succession plans, played into this, and he saw a good opportunity to be able to do that, because ODM buttressed him when he really needed somebody to defend his nonsense.
So I hear you, Obed, and I can tell that, of course, we find ourselves in a very interesting historical cycle when you talk about the politics of this country. At one point, we know Ford Kenya, Ford Asili, among others, they really played a big role in agitation for democracy in this change. And when you come to where the current, what will be referred to as the main opposition party, remember the other day they just declared that their divorce process has been successful and they are no longer into Azimio la Umoja. Remember, there are also others who moved out. There was the DAP, there is Wiper Democratic Party, and also most of the other affiliate political parties that had gone into bed with the amalgamation of other parties to form the Azimio la Umoja. What does that tell you about the former president's political influence today, does he still remain relevant? And why I ask this, I know politicians and politics behave as if people just woke up from their bed and they are crazy. We remember the funeral of the then former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Some of these people were there, even almost, giving brotherly hugs, as they say. Politicians are cousins, so you can never really become part of their fights. But if you were to look at it in terms of tactic, is the move counterproductive for the ODM brigade?
Two things to this. And one, you look at it from the fact that President Kenyatta has a big hand and would have a big say in terms of how the elections will be done in this country. And for obvious reasons, it's an open secret that he is backing Fred Matiang'i, and that's why Matiang'i has become the deputy leader for Jubilee Party. It's quite obvious that even they've been in places, Matiang'i always brings along greetings from President Uhuru Kenyatta. There are two things. Politics is about interest. Uhuru was in power. There's what they need to guard and protect. And so he must have a friendly regime. He has nothing against Ruto except that William Ruto is the new boy in town. It's about new money. And what Ruto is trying to do is to also find a way to amass for himself and, misuse and abuse the power that he has to amass as much as possible. Unfortunately, it's a fact that we can't run away from. So even the changes that you're seeing, in my view, about SHA, the things to do with new projects, new approaches to a few things, is a conduit for the current regime to make the most of, from public tenders and, grow wealth. So
wealth for
it's a conflict. I don't think Kenyans are part of that plan. If you pick my line of thinking, it is because, and you can understand particularly why that is the case. Within 3 years, you've seen how quickly the president has been able to do a lot of things that require a lot of money. And it's obvious to any naked eye and anybody who has a bit of a brain to see that there is a competition between old money and new money. And the boys in town, the sheriffs in town today, do not want to share whatever loot that they have. You would tell me, Gachagua is deemed to be a tribalist, and all of a sudden realize that Ruto does not believe in tribal politics. But as a matter of fact, look at the people who surround him, the appointments made in government, how we talk about in terms of our politics. He's no different. The difference here was a difference of how much should we share? How much are we going to eat? And probably they were all gluttonous and nobody wanted to share, maybe half. Somebody felt that, you're taking my share. And the only way sometimes when you're fighting for the same resource, the strongest will always use the force of the power that they have. And you need people who are pliant, or people who are praising you, or people who agree with you and are no direct competition to you to be able to get what you want. So ultimately, the interests here that are being fought are for the wealthy that are in the past and the new sheriffs in town who want to amass as much as possible to make the most during the period that they are looking at, to be in power. If they can be able to extend it and, do that, that's another conversation. But for as long as the Constitution allows, then let's make the most of it. So Uhuru would have a say in the outcome, or as much as, there's a realization as well. When you listen to there's a sense of conciliation. There's a sense of people, starting to say, oh, you told us, but we didn't listen. A case of a little too late. You've woken up, it's a bit late.
Yeah.
But then maybe we don't want to repeat the same mistake. And that's why he's able to call for a meeting and have Gachagua sit with Kalonzo and agree that Azimio coalition has to work this way. So he's also helped to shape the opposition.
Yeah.
The other bit that you can look at it from, maybe he's working to ensure that the current regime stays. Maybe as a pact that was made. The promise, remember when he said, yangu kumi na yake kumi. So maybe in keeping with what he's saying, he looked like he's in the opposition, but working for the current regime, ensuring that he manages the opposition for the current regime. And then in the background,
yeah,
we can say, I've kept my pact. You have what you needed. Let's respect each other. So it's quite a number of those things, but then it's politics again. There's more than meets the eye. It's always trying to dig and trying to look at the movements. As it is, it looks like he wants to be on the other side and dictate who becomes president. And if that happens, then is he the one who be the puppet master from behind the scenes to control things? Mm-hmm. Because remember, that family has a lot of wealth in terms of resource to use, but at the same time, in using those resources, they need to protect their resource. And how do you do that? By having a friendly system that helps you to protect what you have or gives you leverage to achieve whatever you need to achieve. And so maybe there's more of a personal interest on his end as well, as opposed to him really desiring for a better country, but more about how do we protect what we already have.
How do we protect the things that we've already gathered in the field? And I see we have Dr. Mof on call. If you want to join the conversation, we'll give you an opportunity to pick up the mic. In the meantime, for those of you who are also streaming us live on TikTok, great to be here. We are happy that you could join the call tonight. We are also live on YouTube, and we are equally live on kotfm.co.ke. We are almost coming to, that part, I will say, then what next? But before we can do that, allow me, Obets, to bring you through up to speed with some of the intrigues in terms of today, what was notable in the world of news. It has to be interesting to know that Wiper Patriotic Front leader, that is Wiper Patriotic Front leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, led a delegation of politicians and leaders in visiting the family of Agnes Kavindu Muthama and Johnson Nduyu Muthama to condole with them following the death of their only son, Moses Muthama. That's quite, I would say, sad news. But relatively, you have to know the faces that were in attendance. I don't know if you're able to grab through that copy of news, Obeds. Did you in any way see pictures moving on your screen?
Not really, but what I know is in death, and this is something that we need to realize. Africans,
you know why I'm saying this, and specifically for the political players present at the meeting was DCP party leader. There was also the ODM party leader. And they were
what I'm saying
exchanging pleasantries.
Precisely. That's where I was going. Politicians are not enemies. They either way they feel benefit, and whenever they have a problem, they have to support each other. They are cut from the same cloth, and I think, in the words of Lee Njiru, they are cousins. So even when they trade barbs and they say things against each other, these people don't hate each other as much. But at the same time, you must also realize, as ordinary folk, that we need to come together because we are the people who are suffering when these people are doing what they're doing. There are small nucleus of people who benefit. Because when we're giving a salary, we don't give a salary as a member of parliament from the opposition and a member of parliament from government. We give a salary from our taxpayers' money to members of parliament. And the assumption is they're representing us and they have our interests at heart because all of us cannot be leaders. So when you see the noise, and even today, God forbid, one of them is called, or a relative, like, an example is when Fidel Odinga passed away. The government of the day, despite saying things about Raila, provided whatever was required.
But
so
Fidel sounds far-fetched, just the recent one, because all these faces were there. At one point we saw even, Kalonzo, who was then deputizing in that government, not given the opportunity to eulogize the former premier, which didn't come out as one of those pleasant scenes to watch, especially for political players who would say Kalonzo and the then Mzee were really politically connected because, one, they worked together to formulate the Azimio. At one point, Kalonzo had to step down to allow Mzee Raila to declare his candidature for presidency. And, at every opportunity, he actually switched sides depending on what was convenient at the moment, either politically or for the sake of the nation. Obed.
Exactly as you said it, either politically or in the name of the nation, but not necessarily so. And even the goings on during the, in the mourning period for Raila Odinga, Kalonzo tried to find a way to endear himself to the Luo community. And as a way of saying, I'm grateful for the support. I supported Baba, and I think it's your turn to do this.
Yeah.
And he went out of his way. How many cows did he bring to the homestead? What was that meant to be? It wasn't just that he was bringing cows. He was trying to make a statement. This is my friend, and I've done this because this is how it should be. But at the same time, trying to make a political statement. And also being denied an opportunity to eulogize his friend at Nyayo Stadium is also a political statement that was said without saying. That at the time it was felt probably the person who would get the most adulation, and maybe because it was felt it was closer to Mzee, was him. And what better than deny him an opportunity? Remember, politicians always crave a chance to speak to the people. And that's why even in FINROS, if you've attended FINROS where politicians are and those who are aspiring, you'd hear somebody wants to be given a chance to speak, even if it's a minute. Why? Because then it has a meaning. It has a value to it.
Yeah.
And that's why you see our politicians crave for weekends. Like, I'm sure we'll be treated to theatrics this weekend.
Yeah.
Sifuna will be the topic. Things will be said about him. And so it's just the currency of politics. And they have to do politics for what it is, but they don't hate each other. What I think I would encourage Kenyans to do and to look at is to ensure that we are selfish enough to think about ourselves when it matters most. And when politicians are trying to bend things in their favor, we put our interests as well, and we demand for a lot more at the time, because it will take a while before we get the same opportunity to do that, because our interests are at variance.
Our interests are at variance, and that brings us to exactly 22 hours Nairobi time. We have been speaking.
Ella, I don't know if you're speaking. Can you hear me?
Obed, sorry, my fader was out. Technology can decide to teach you good manners. And for those of you who are tuned in, we are just coming to the end of this conversation. But that does not mean everything has come to an end. There'll be a lot of political intrigues come this weekend, as you correctly put it, Obed. And I know funerals will be the place to be. It's a pity that some of those funerals had to be attended tonight or today. But that notwithstanding, Obed, I know you are a romantic man. Any plans for Valentine's? What are we expecting on your end?
Valentine's, listen to music on KOTFM, I think. And I'm sure there'll be a very good playlist. In terms of what's going to happen, trust me. There'll be political alliances. Some people will be kissing, others will be crying. There's going to be a lot of dust.
Dust is constant.
Sifuna will be in Kitengela with the other wing of ODM to meet people. So they want to lead a ground in Nairobi. I'm sure there'll be other people celebrating the demise, or so to speak, in quotes, of Sifuna's popularity. So, so for me, I look at Valentine's from a political angle. For those who want, that's where the theater is. That's where the drama is. That's where watch it with popcorns because it's going to be interesting, and it's just starting.
Yeah.
It's heating up. For those who want to be taken for dinner, if you've gone for dinner today, it means you have a different position.
Why are you why are you introducing problems in people's homes? Yeah,
the ownership will be treated tomorrow. So, and for those who will get it after, just understand that everybody has a position, and just like politicians, as we said, it's about interest, and you have to take care of your interests. So that's what I'd say.
You know, Obed, I would have ordinarily just left this one to slide. But if there's anyone who has listened to that, consider that just public opinion. Because if we didn't take you out today, it's because we were working very hard to find you money so that we can be able to send you to those dinners. Obed and his friends, if they took you out to dinner this evening, it's because they already got their fair share of nyota na wameangaziwa vizuri. Mimi na wengine tutakutana kesho. Obed.
Yeah, so I think in conclusion, in my view, I think there's a lot more to gain by ensuring that people are plugged into what's going on in politics, and at the same time, to appreciate that the nature of our politics as it is a bit basic at the moment.
Yeah.
But it has to evolve, and it can only evolve when people get involved. By adding your voice in any form, in any approach, it means much. When you have many more people demanding for something, it's easier for the people who are there to listen. And at the same time that we shape what we are looking for. It might take a while. It doesn't happen suddenly. But you see, progressively, if there's a demand and a clamor and a push that is constant and consistent, then it's impossible for people not to change. Politics is like religion. There are followers who are diehards, some of them fanatical and stupid, which is what the majority are. But at the same time, it needs the savvy to know how to manage the many who don't understand, to know what is at stake. Excitement is an easy thing, and that's the currency politicians use, especially when they know the masses don't have enough resource as currently is. And so I would never encourage people to eat the money in quotes and ensure that they have a brain after so that they can vote correctly. But I would encourage us to start to understand that the money that we're getting, even when we think we are punishing that politician, is the tax money that you paid. So it's counterproductive. If you put the right people in positions, then you wouldn't have to suffer with bad policies that require you to tax people more instead of looking for a better way to develop a country.
Which way?
Than just in,
this is a conversation we'll have on a Monday. Because I don't want
the low-hanging fruit.
Which are those
the
ones?
Low-hanging fruit.
It's
the
your
low-hanging
payslip.
fruit. Yeah. And unfortunately, how many more Kenyans are you going to tax to get what you want? I don't know. Stella would probably help us to understand economics better. But with my little understanding, if you tax people for too long, the same people, there's no value eventually getting out of it. And just common sense that if you're asking for money, I'll give you an example like where churches are having a fundraising like every weekend, and they're asking for more and more money from the same people. Over time, you'll start to get less and less from what you're asking from them.
Yeah.
It's a similar concept. It's not rocket science. So, yeah, we have to plug into politics. It is our business, not Africa. It is our business. Politics is there every day. People use politics in relationships. They use politics in the office. Politics is part of us. Telling people, I don't like politics. Politicians are bad people. It does not solve your problems. It actually means
you are turning yourself off from something very important that affects your everyday life.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Obed says mambo ya siasa ni mingi sana, and I think that is how we want to start off our weekend, because it will be a lot of party after party and a lot of movement in between. But I can tell you something for free. A party is just about to be launched right here with Court FM, and once I change over, nakuambia ni sherehe sheria all the way to midnight. So don't even touch that dial. If you want to continue listening in, you can stream through kotfm.co.ke. That is kotfm.co.ke, or simply join us on TikTok. Anko Wamaju is there, and I'm also gonna be streaming these on our Mizani X account, which is also currently live. Obeds, I'll be seeing you on Monday as you come to tell me about story of your life, and the way umesema hakuna siku nyingine tena utajipata umetumia pesa kwa mtu, lakini nimekuambia when it comes to entertainment, just know it's a fool's paradise. Good evening. That has been our time.
And when you put your words in my mouth, it's not very nice, is it? Bye-bye.
Good night. That has been it right here from your Weekend Brief. My name is Likiani Eli, and thank you for joining us. 8 minutes after 10 p.m. Wacha twende kwa sherehe sheria.
You're listening to Court FM. Let the music play.